Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot at what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Menashe. On today's show, we're taking a look at how some changes to the building code are driving significant new costs of construction. Buildings are becoming healthier than they once were. It's desirable to insulate a property in order to maximize efficiency. However, these highly sealed homes and offices can also build up toxins or behave in unexpected ways. If you like to cook, then chances are you want to have an effective exhaust fan above your stove in order to prevent grease and smells from permeating all over your home. A high-capacity range hood is the key, but if the range hood is going to pull kitchen smells effectively out of your home, you also need a high-capacity fan and a large duct to the outside. In the old days, homes were leaky enough that the range hood did not pull enough air to cause a fall in air pressure inside the home. The numerous gaps and leaks around windows, doors, electrical outlets, and so on enabled enough fresh air to seep into the house without creating a problem. Where problems do arise is when a home is very tightly sealed. At that moment, there's only a few remaining openings for air to enter the house. There's the bathroom exhaust fans, which have a gravity damper, only lets a very tiny amount of air to backdraft into the home. There's the dryer vent, which would allow air to be sucked back into the house, but even that has a damper. The problem is that many houses have appliances that burn fuel, specifically a natural gas furnace, a natural gas water heater, a fireplace, a wood stove. The exhaust vent for each of these fuel-burning systems is another hole in the house, and these perforations are designed to exhaust fumes from the combustion process. But the law of physics doesn't care that you intended it to be a chimney. The law of physics says air will flow from a location of highest pressure to lower pressure. And the problem is that if the fuel-burning appliance is having air sucked through the chimney back into the house, you could have carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and who knows what else being sucked back into the house. The larger the fan and the more sealed your house, the greater the risk. As a result, the building code is being amended in many communities to introduce an active solution to this problem. Backdrafting of fuel-burning appliances, like furnaces, water heaters, and fireplaces, can be amplified by the wind creating areas of high pressure or low pressure on one side of the house or another, depending on the wind direction. In many parts of the U.S., if an exhaust fan has a capacity of more than 400 cubic feet per minute, then a make-up air system is required. Some building codes, for example where I live in Ontario, Canada, require a make-up air system regardless of the exhaust fan capacity. This requires the addition of a blower of equivalent strength to the exhaust blower to restore balanced air pressure into the house. A passive system is not enough to meet the new codes. A make-up air system has several components that are all interlocked with the kitchen exhaust fan. So when you turn on the fan, the make-up air system turns on at the same time. It has to have a damper, a blower, a temperature sensor, and a heater. The heater is going to have to be pretty strong. We're talking about a 10 kilowatt heater to warm the air as it's entering the house. Now you might be thinking, you're going to go out and spend a few $100s on a nice shiny stainless steel range hood to put above your brand new stove. Then surprise, now you're facing an additional bill of upwards of $3,000 for the make-up air system to balance the air pressure for the range hood. It's tempting at that moment just to recirculate the air from the range hood through a charcoal filter and save the money. But when you do that, your range hood is now just an expensive noisemaker. It's not doing very much for you. When we talk about rising construction costs, it's not just the result of rising prices. Many builders I know have experienced sticker shock as a result of these changes to the building code that bring in new requirements. When you spend more on your make-up air system than you would for the kitchen exhaust, maybe as much as you would spend on an air conditioner or a furnace, there's a value judgment being applied that somehow this make-up air system is really not worth the extra money. After all, we've been building for hundreds of years without it. Some cities are now starting to ban natural gas infrastructure for new construction. Many West Coast communities are aiming to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and have implemented this ban. I'm taking the time on today's show to go into this requirement in a fair amount of detail, and for some reason, this new requirement is not getting a lot of attention. The addition of $3,000 to your construction budget per unit is a significant cost increase, and many people simply don't know about it. Does a make-up air system really need to cost $3,000? In my opinion, these systems are expensive right now because they're not mainstream yet. There's no intrinsic reason for them to be that expensive. There's a lot of custom wiring and modification of the exhaust fan to interlock it properly with the controller and with the make-up air system. These disparate, disintegrated systems are generally being integrated out of discrete components, which means intrinsically higher cost. There are other changes to the building code in some communities that are adding even more to the base cost of construction. As developers, we need to be aware of these changes so there's no surprises. As you think about that, have an awesome rest of your day. Go make some great things happen. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.